Today, I'm going to be breaking down Fallen Angel by Smallgod featuring Black Sherif, where, as usual, I'm going to be talking you through the various elements that I'm picking up on as we go through it. Now, before we do actually go ahead and get into the video, just a quick moment. I hope you all had a very good Christmas, and I wish you nothing but blessings, good fortune, and all that kind of positive stuff for the new year. Let me know in the comments down below what your New Year's resolutions are, your goals, your ambitions for 2024, because I will be very interested to hear it. Let's get into some new music.
Smallgod, mind Joker.
Fortune, I wish on you, not few, plenty bundles. I'm looking out for you wherever you are, wherever you dare. If you say my name, I will show. If you call, I'll be on the road. I will stay behind you for life. You are feeling too lost. For how long? You go be a slave to your flaws? Will you stay on the floor? I wanna see you at the top, yo. May they no go call you a flop now. May they no go scatter your brain. I need you to wake up. And he said, oh, we need you.
Okay, right, we're going to stop it there. Let's cover off what we've had in the intro and in the first verse. So before we go ahead and get into anything, let's talk about how fire this track is, from the instrumental to the feel, the vibe, and the way that they're layering and executing those vocals. It absolutely bangs. Moving on to the intro, what we notice is that it's 8 bars long, so it's about standard for an intro. Now, within the first segment, we've got some guitars and they're driving that main melody. We've also got some underlying keys in there as well. Really like the fact that we get some introductory vocals pretty much from the get-go. And what we also notice is that when we tip over into that second segment of the intro, we then get the introduction to the bass and we get some basic percussions come into the mix as well. But pay attention to what's going on with the bass, because it actually hits on the first and fourth beat. Now, that doesn't necessarily have too much of an impact within the intro itself, but it definitely helps facilitate the track when we tip over into the verse and we get the rest of the drums come in. And then finally, we get a really nice transition that ends on a clap hit before we then tip over to the first verse. Talking about the first verse, so we do actually have some sneaky things that happen within this first verse, but let's talk about the most obvious thing first, and it's the beat, right? So we get the drums come in, we've got the kick drum, and that's providing a nice steady 4/4 beat, and we also have the addition of a snare, although you'll notice with the snare that it's not in there all the time. It's actually being used sparingly throughout that first verse. Now, sneakiness. We're going to talk about the guitars here. So what we have in the intro, and you can go back and you can listen, is that the guitars are panned slightly to the right hand side in the intro. But when we tip over into the first verse, the guitars get moved more to the left hand side. We do also have a variation, or a slight variation, in those guitars, by the way, as well. They're not exactly the same as what they are in the intro. But sticking with the guitars, what you'll notice is that when we tip over into the second segment of the first verse, we get an additional set of guitars come in. Where do they come in? They come in on the right hand side. So now it makes sense why they would make that switch out, to make room for that additional set that comes in later on. And then finally, we've got the vocals. They are absolutely stunning on this track. And I'm not just talking about the way that the lead vocal is being delivered or the flow of the lead vocal. I'm talking about the way that they actually execute on the additional layers throughout the first verse, from the harmonies to the ad-libs. And they really help to bring this track to life. Let's go back. Let's listen.
Smallgod.
Right, guitars, pan to the right. Keys are in there. Right, introductory vocals. Bass. Basic percussions. Transition coming in.
Fortune, I wish on you, not few, plenty bundles.
Kick
I'm
drum.
looking looking out for you wherever you
Snare.
are. Wherever you there. If you say my name, I will show. If you call, I'll be on the road. I will stay behind you for life. You are feeling too lost. For how long? You go be a slave to your flaws.
Right, additional set of guitars coming in from the right.
I wanna see you at the top, yo. May they no go call you a flop now. May they no go scatter your brain. I need you to wake up. And he said,
chorus.
Falling into you. Where do I see you? I've got questions for you. Don't run from me. Falling into you. Where do I see you? I've got questions for you. Don't run from me, no. Don't run from me, no. Stay right here with me.
Ah, bangs, mate.
Don't run from me, no. Me, no. I go plenty places. I see plenty.
Okay, I actually don't want to stop it, man, right? Because this is absolute fire, right? But let's talk about, we have to talk about what goes on in the chorus and also what happens in the post-chorus before we leak over into the second verse. So let's do that now. Okay, so let's kick off with the chorus and let's talk about the most obvious thing first, and it's the vocal layering. Obviously, much more of that going on in the chorus, which means that the vocals themselves are bigger. But what I particularly like about what they're doing here is the cheeky little follow-up that we get to the lead, right? So we get the lead vocal and then we get a that follows that, and it's a really nice touch to be bringing in on the chorus. Another thing to pay attention to is what's going on with the snare. So you notice that the snare is much more active, and if you cast your mind back to the previous pause, I said, okay, in the first verse the snare is being used sparingly. Here in the chorus it's definitely much more frequent. Kick drum, we get a slight variation within that as well. So instead of just providing a steady 4/4 beat, and I can't remember whether it's a double or a triple hit, but just to spice things up a little bit within the chorus, we actually get either a double or a triple hit of the kick drum. And then finally, I want to go back to the guitars, because what you'll notice is that instead of being more obviously panned to the left or the right, they actually feel a lot more central within the track, meaning that they're wider and taking up much more of that space within the chorus. And then the final thing is what's going on with the post-chorus. It's nothing major, it's just a slight observation, and you notice that everything gets stripped back and we almost feel like we're kind of back at the intro. It's not exactly the same as the intro, but we kind of get that slow down and we end up in this zone that's kind of more familiar to something that we've heard previously. So let's go back, let's listen.
May they no go scatter your brain. I need you to wake up. And he said,
Chorus.
Falling into you.
Listen to the snare.
I've got questions for you. Don't run from me.
Guitars much more wider.
Where do I see you? I've got questions.
There's that follow-up vocal.
Don't run from me. No.
Strip back, post-chorus.
Don't run from me.
Intro feel, right?
Stay right here with me.
Bass.
We may,
boom.
We may. Don't run from me, no. Me, no.
Right, second verse.
I go plenty places. I see plenty people, different minds they carry. So I know for sure that we all are not the same. We are not from the same home. Nobody know my history. I don't know their own. But one thing I've learned to do, just take care of my people. That is all I want for you.
Those guitars
One
bang.
thing I've learned to do is take care of my people. Oh. That is all I want for you. So he said to me, falling into you. Where do I see you? I've got questions for you.
Okay, right, gonna stop it there. Let's talk very, very quickly about the second verse because there are a few shifts that occur there, but then we're gonna see the rest of the track out. Okay, so there's only two things I want to talk about within the second verse, and then we can go and see the rest of the track out. First one, vocals. So what we notice in the second verse from the get-go is that they're being harmonized, and we've got a lot more activity going on with the vocals, such as follow-ups, repeated phrases, ad-libs, all of this sort of stuff. Now that didn't happen in the first verse. In the first verse, we built up to that, but we didn't have it in there from the get-go, so that's the first difference. And then the second key difference is you notice that when we hit the back end of that second verse, we get a strip back, meaning that the percussions get taken out of the mix. That definitely didn't happen in the first verse. And actually, it's really nice because what it does is it gives us a little bit of a slowdown, right, before we then tip over into that big chorus and things pick up again. But also what it does is it allows the instrumental to shine. And that's what I was saying about the guitars when I'm saying they bang. It's not because they haven't been in the track before. They have, but they stand out more because everything else, or percussion wise at least, has been stripped back. Let's go back sort of like one or two and then we'll see the rest of the track out.
But one thing I've learned to do.
Right, there's the strip back.
That is all I want for you.
And then you hear those guitars, right?
One thing I've learned to do.
And listen to the vocals.
That is all I want for you. So he said to me, falling into, where do I see you?
Snare back in, much more active. Kick drum.
Falling into, where do I see you? I've got best things for you. Don't run.
Some nice vocal runs in there as well.
Don't run from me, no. Stay right here.
Seeing things out now.
We may. Don't run from me, no.
And just very quickly, right, those percussions that are in there now, that dun 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 dun, that's absolute fire, right? Like they've stripped it back, but I think if they'd stripped it all the way back where we have no percussions at all, I don't think it would have sounded right. It would have been maybe too much of a slowdown within the track, but to just kind of keep that in, keep that sense of rhythm in there, absolutely spot on. Let's go back one or two.
Stay right here, we may.
Boom.
Don't run from me, no. One thing I've learned to do.
Right, in the outro now.
Mind my business, yo. Mind my business. Mind my business, yeah. Mind my business, yo. It's to mind my business, yeah. Savage mix. Follow my way. Follow my way.
Bangs, mate. Okay, that's it from me. If you want to see more breakdown and analysis videos, there'll be things popping up on the screen right now. Other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I will see you in the next one.